good morning and thanks for joining the adventure today. We are going to start our day off with one of my favorite breakfasts, and that is homemade biscuits and gravy. We're going to make buttermilk biscuits and a delicious sausage gravy. So check it out. You can follow along. You can make it as well. I'll try to be as detailed as possible. Okay, we're going to start with our organic all-purpose flour. We're going to use 2 cups of that, and we're going to put that in with half a teaspoon of salt and a tablespoon of baking powder. We're just going to whisk those together lightly. Then we're going to mix in our butter. I'm going to use a half a cup of butter. If you happen to have frozen butter, then you can, a nice hack I saw, you can use a cheese grater to grate it in, or you can do a cutting in, or you can just kind of mix it in with your fingers and thumbs, as I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using fresh butter here that we have made. It's a cultured butter from the milk from our cow. After all that is mixed in, you're going to mix in 3/4 of a cup of milk. I'm using buttermilk, which is a byproduct of making butter, but you can use regular milk as well. Now, before all of this, I preheated the oven to 425 so that when the preheat's done, it usually is time for me to put the biscuits in. Now, after I've mixed my biscuits in, I've got my butter mixed with my flour and powder and salt, and I put the milk in, the buttermilk. Now I'm ready to put it into a dough ball and roll it out. So next we're going to roll out the dough, and we'll roll it out. Got my rolling pin here, and we're going to make our shapes. I use just a small half-pint mason jar, but you can use a cookie cutter or anything like that. And then we're going to put it into my cast iron skillet. From the cast iron skillet, we're going to fill it up nicely, and then we're just going to put it in cold cast iron skillet straight into our preheated 425 oven. And I'll set the timer on. We'll start with 12 minutes and see how they look. I'm looking for kind of a golden biscuit. Usually you can tell when they're finished. Right? I'll start my gravy in the large cast iron skillet. I'll put some sausage in here, and I'll cook that down, leaving all the fat in there. Once it is all cooked, I will start lightly dusting it with flour and letting the flour brown just a little bit in the fat before turning it over, and I want it to look like this. And just kind of keep adding the flour. It's probably going to be several tablespoons of flour that I'll sprinkle over, let it brown up, stir it up a little bit. You want it to brown up. But once you've done all that, you start adding milk. I'm using whole milk from our cows, and really you're going to pour in some milk, probably about a half a cup at a time. Let it get to a simmer, and then just keep it stirring. You want to keep it moving, and then it will mix in with your sausage and flour, and it'll start looking more like gravy. Now, I don't have an amount of milk I put in. I just kind of keep adding it and stirring it slowly, then add and stir until it looks about right. And I know how I want my gravy to look. Well, now that we've done that, we're going to take our biscuits out. We're going to cut them in half, and we're going to pour delicious homemade sausage gravy over them and sit down for a great breakfast with a glass of milk, and that should settle like concrete so we can get out and get moving for the day. All right, let's see what's next. Now, you might be thinking that biscuits and gravy doesn't sound like a very good go out and get a lot of work done breakfast, but let me tell you, it's got the carbs, it's got the fat, it's got the protein. It was fantastic, and I'm ready to do some work. The boys and I have actually been doing some work outside, just unloading the truck, doing a few things. Not too heavy lifting, but I'm ready to come out now and pick up with some fencing. You may remember in a recent video, I somehow managed to bash my own head with a pile driver while putting in T-posts. Still haven't figured out how I managed to do that, despite everybody asking me. And I'm determined to not let that happen again today. One of the reasons that it won't happen is I'm not using a pile driver. Today, I'm going to be putting up field fencing. Now that all of my T-posts and corners are in, I'm going to start working on the actual fence. So I'm out here, I've got my T-post clips in my arm here, and I just dropped off the roll of fencing. As you can see here, behind me, and so I'm gonna start working on this line, starting at the gate, and I'm gonna tackle the roadside first. So let's see how it goes. All right, the rain is back, except this time it's raining a little harder. So I think I'm probably gonna, oh, there it goes. I think I'm probably gonna pack it in for today. You can see this long stretch that I'm working on here. I'm about halfway through this road frontage side. And if the rain stops in the next few minutes, then I'll get back at it. But otherwise, I'll probably pack it in. So thanks for joining the adventure today. Appreciate you watching the video. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, please do. We would love that, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks.